All right, there we go. We've clicked. The recording is happening.
It is. Welcome to Funny Book Forensics. I'm Dan, and that's
I'm
Greg,
Greg.
and we are now official. You don't have a voice.
I don't have a voice.
We are on.
What? Are you?
No,
Dan, you're so rude.
I've taken your voice.
You're rude.
Well, I've taken your voice because we are officially on the project-nerd.com podcast network.
It's true. I saw the post.
As of when this is recording. Yeah. Which will mean it's like a day or so before you get it, because it just depends on how fast I decide to edit this one. What my mood is tonight.
Oh boy, it's not going to happen today.
Well, it could. I mean, it's possible.
I don't know.
Unlikely, but possible.
Highly unlikely.
It's unlikely, but it's happening. We're here. We have. I'm always baffled. Do you think Larry Mahlstedt just couldn't ink covers? Like they have something against him because they happily have him ink all of the insides,
but not the cover.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And in the annual we had Dick. Can I say words? Dick Giordano on the cover, which is fantastic.
You got all the right letters.
Make sure you
just
get
not
that
the
right
order.
Yeah, something like that. And I've only had one sip of Manhattan tonight,
wow.
So yeah,
I'm having a nice sparkling seltzer water. So.
Well, I felt like a drink was appropriate for the start of the big story.
Apparently so.
This is a big, important...
If I had known that, you should have messaged me prior, and maybe I could have...
I didn't think about it until about 3 minutes after I was supposed to call you.
I see. That.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, so it's a little late. Like, I thought I could message you, but then I thought he'll wonder why I haven't started the podcast yet, and...
Yeah, fair. I guess it's... I mean...
Well...
It's just what it is.
We get another. I don't know why you're ringing a cash register. None of the noises that come from you make any sense.
Because the people like it, Dan. The people.
No, they don't.
Do. Oh, they do.
So no, they don't.
I guarantee you, right there, that's gonna be a message. You're gonna
of how I don't see these messages.
I do.
Where do they go?
I do.
Once again, as an esteemed member of the broadcast media, I can't even read my own messages about my own podcast.
They come to me.
I edit.
They come to me telepathically, Dan. They send me. Send me messages through dolphins. Because birds are real.
I think the colorist on the cover had a meltdown.
You think so? Because of everything's like a muted color.
Well, the white background is one annoying because white backgrounds are horribly annoying to keep as a comic book collector, right?
Because you can't ever keep them clean unless you keep it in plastic
right away. Yeah. The goal is to read the stories, right? But
why don't you wear
I actually
white gloves?
like the white. So I'm just, aside. Did I sigh loud enough for that to be picked up? Hopefully I did. So
yes, you did.
You know what? I want Anne to hear you say that. And when I'm referring to Anne, I'm referring to the owner of the Retro Emporium in Kent, Washington on Meeker Street, where you can find your childhood, of course. And I would never plug that store, but just so you know, it's there. She would be appalled at your comment about wearing white gloves and reading comic books.
It's true. She would. She'd be like...
I think she would tell you to grab a bag of Cheetos and start reading comic books, which I also would not be in favor of that either. No,
but she would gladly do because that's what she does when she reads comics.
So cool cover in the sense that like there's one of those servants. It looks like from the last issue, right?
Yes.
Remember the one that ran into the polymer shield?
Yes. Kapow!
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, and died.
Yes.
And died from space
junk
Yeah.
to the face.
Clearly, like whoever is behind these servants needs to get better ones.
Yeah.
But it is, so here's what I mean about the coloring though. Actually, I think it's a cool cover concept with the space in the servant and the Legionnaires all busted up and they're inside the servant. So the white, it's the dark color of the servant with the white color background.
Yeah.
But here, and it's Giffen and Giacoia on inks on this one. Again, I don't know why poor Larry Mahlstedt can't actually ink the covers, but that's okay. We get him for the whole inside this time, so that's cool. This is Frank Giacoia.
Giacoia.
I feel like he's probably really famous, and I'm just really
bad at pronouncing names.
Messing this up. Well, yeah, he is. Well, I don't know. This reference note says that he lived from 1924 to 1988. Okay. So he was an early comics book illustrator. Yeah. Oh, okay. So here's what it is. So this guy is famous, and this is where somebody's screaming into the void at me right now. He worked for DC Comics, Marvel Comics, but are you ready? Eisner and Iger Studio, Ace Comics, Avon Comics, Crestwood, Dell, Eastern, Fawcett, Harvey, Lev Gleason Productions, The Amazing Spider-Man strip he inked, The Flash Gordon strip he inked, The Hulk strip he inked, Johnny Reb and Billy Yank he inked, Sherlock Holmes strip he inked, and Thorne McBride, which is the only one of those strips I've never heard of.
So basically he did everything under the sun before his tenure was over.
Yeah.
Wow.
And maybe penciled some of that stuff too. And it looks like he penciled some All-Star comics, like the old ones.
But no Archies, I'm disappointed.
Well, you can't do everything. But, yeah, that's... Okay, well, there we go.
Yeah,
so
no, that's it.
Once again...
Fantastic run.
Yeah, do you think, like, at this point... I know Keith wasn't... I wonder if Paul was doing it, but Keith didn't have a lot of pull at this point. I mean, the book's been around for... We've been through... This is the, 8th issue of their run, right? That's not counting the annual, right?
Yeah.
So... We go back to 280. No, that is counting the annual. We go back to 284. Sorry. So this would be the 7th plus annual 8th. Yeah. So it's, yeah. Do you think if the book's selling well, do you think Keith has the pull to say, I want this classic inker to be my cover artist?
Maybe. It might be a tag team of both of them saying, hey, we'd really like to work with this person. They're like, this person would be amazing to have on this book for a cover.
Well, and they came back and they had, we didn't like the Infantino stuff, but they came back and we had that in the one issue, right? So maybe, Paul Levitz has an affinity for making sure creators are taken care of. Maybe it's more of them going back and doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
It says that you're calling me right now.
Oh, clearly I am. Well, you should hang up on me. So, in fact, I don't know, this is always an adventure in the sense that, somehow you're in your office, you literally find more things to bang than the space junk that hit the servant in the last issue.
Servant!
No, not servant. Okay, well, you know what? I've totally lost control of myself and this podcast.
That's what happens when you drink a Manhattan.
I have drank 2 sips. And you know what, listeners? This is what happens when I am out of control on the podcast or out of control on the day. Of course, I know you all love it, but I don't. I like to be... Okay, so let me refocus on this cover. So, I don't know what's going on the colors of this cover,
it's
right?
Wild.
So, the Legion of Superheroes logo is in Ultra Boy colors, right? I don't... But then... So, it's red and green. Mm-hmm. But then the other text is blue and black on orange, and then the cool and the servant shall be a sign, which is the title of the book, is in orange and yellow, and then it's brown at the bottom. So, and then the DC logo's the bullet logo with the... Can you say bullet logo anymore? Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean...
know. It's the classic DC logo with the stars around it, but... Target logo? I don't know. Is there a new word for it?
They call them bugs
anyway,
now.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The logo coloring is completely off, right?
It's that baby blue.
Well, the logo should be should be like the orange and yellow or the orange and blue or something like that, because it does change, right? The logo does not stay the same color, like it adapts to the covers. It's just weird. I don't know what the colorist was doing. And this is the original book too. This isn't a scan, or this isn't this isn't a...
Yeah, it's not a recolor.
I'm curious. I'm actually grabbing my copy of the Great Darkness Saga hardback right now, and I'm going to look and see if they recovered that color. Recovered that color.
Dan has a stack.
That's exactly
of books.
What I was trying to say. I have a stack of books. I know it'll shock the listeners. No, they did not recolor it, so
that's the color. That is what it looks like.
Well, anyway, we should turn the page. The cover's really... so the cover is really cool, except for the logo messes the cover up kind of bad. I actually don't like this cover. Like, as a start of an epic story, I think you should really get the cover right. Well, and I think that bugs me about this book.
Maybe they made that cover for that reason. To be jarring, because it is a jarring story.
To make it easy to find in dollar bins?
No, I mean, to be like... It's like it's a visually upsetting cover in that sense. And, from a visual storytelling standpoint, it visually jars you. And when you get into the story itself, as we'll talk about, the story itself is a bit jarring.
Well, the story is, we're continuing on the path, so we jump right off from the annual, and we turn to the first page, and there is Jacques Vauquer. He looks to be invisible. It's weird too. They haven't quite figured out his coloring. Eventually his uniform is yellow and black, but this is like a white. In this case, he looks like he's invisible. It's almost like he's still trying to figure out how to be invisible and how not to be at the same time, which does make sense. I mean, he literally got his powers like a day ago. It seems strange that he's out on a mission with everyone already. You'd think they'd give him a little bit of training or something.
Figuring it out, man.
I mean, you'd think. I mean, you wouldn't want somebody to go out and, say, die in their first mission.
Don't say that.
Or anything, would you? Well, I mean, it could happen. It could. But anyway, what we get, and the servant will be the sign, it says, Chapter 1 of the Great Darkness Saga. Saga. Do you think the Saga characters will show up?
That'd be crazy.
If, like, Keith Giffen had originally dreamed up that whole book.
It'd be like, I had this idea back in 1982.
Well, Superboy is back.
Hey!
And he's like, uh-oh, judging by the smoke curling up, gang, I'd say we're too late. And it looks like they're going down like a giant futuristic elevator shaft.
Yeah, just like,
Yeah. And, well, anyway, Wildfire is greeting Superboy as normal, being a jerk. And he's flying down, and Invisible Kid's like, I don't know how to use my flight ring yet, which is understandable.
It's new.
Phantom Girl's saying something snarky. And Cosmic Boy, like normal, is just standing there, like, you all are morons, kind of, giving them that look.
Whatever.
He's giving them the Cyclops kind of, attitude.
You know what's funny is we talk a lot of smack about Cyclops, but everybody is all about the Cyclops.
Cyclops sucks.
A lot of people that are new to Cyclops or just finding Cyclops, refining Cyclops, they're liking Cyclops in 97.
So I haven't started X-Men 97 yet because I'm still on season 3. And I'm also annoyed that it's coming out weekly because they're half-hour shows, which means they should have just released it all.
They're trying to get you to come back to they want you to come back. Come back to that.
Yeah, well, if I actually owned my own Disney Plus subscription, I would cancel it and then wait until X-Men 97 was all out, and then I would go watch all of it. What I will say is, everybody's opinion about Cyclops being great is wrong. Cyclops is an idiot. I mean, literally in season 3, if you go back, see what people aren't going back, they're just watching X-Men 97. In season 3, he's like yelling and screaming at everybody. He leaves the entire team to go to an orphanage. He just leaves Rusty and Skids and everybody at the orphanage and just shows up back. He's a complete asshole. He's literally back every time something escalates. He starts screaming at other people. Iceman shows back up and he starts screaming at him, telling the professor that there's no possible way that he should ever be let back into the X-Men and he's a prima donna and a jerk. No, Cyclops, you are a prima donna and a jerk. In fact, and then I just watched the episode where they introduce, X Factor, for whatever that is, the Forge-led team there,
yeah.
And he doesn't even know Havoc's his brother. And this moron has met both his dad and his brother and can't figure any of that out. And even Havoc and Cyclops hit each other with their powers and nothing happens and they both go, oh. And Professor X is also a jerk because he's not he knows because he's about to tell Cyclops, don't hit your dad, right? When they're in the Phoenix, whatever the cartoon accounts for the Phoenix story, okay, which is, yeah. I thought the cartoon I thought the X Factor thing was okay. I know it's not the original X Factor, but I thought that was cool. But the Phoenix Saga in the original cartoon, not that great. I mean, the movies and the cartoon haven't really figured out Phoenix because with the Phoenix Saga in the cartoon, they make Jean Grey even weaker and more pathetic. Like the whole thing with Phoenix is she's supposed to be awesome.
Yeah.
That's what made people actually like the character. Yeah. And in the cartoon, it's like, oh, I used the Phoenix power, now I'm so weak. Like, it's just, anyway, okay. Now, I know we're talking about the Legion of Superheroes, but you brought up Cyclops.
Yes. Well, you brought up Cyclops, and you said...
No.
You brought up...
Well, you dared to defend Cyclops.
I didn't defend, I just said people are tending to say that they like Cyclops now, even though in the past we...
Well, if you'll go back a few Funny Book Forensics episodes, and you'll notice that Cyclops sucks, and he still sucks. So... It's, yeah, anyway. Well, we're back on the Legion, and we've got a lot of text, so I probably should get to the book. And we end up at the Museum of Mystic Arts in California in the 80s, which means it's some sort of futuristic hippie compound, which is awesome.
Sweet.
It's got there's got to be some like incense circles floating around here and something, right? Yeah. Like all sorts of stuff.
Got drums. Yeah.
Where one of my former colleagues probably got her doctorate.
Oh, and I know who you're talking about.
And it's looks like well, anyway, it looks like the science police came in and did some pyro nullifier, and poor Superboy is like a pyro whatsits. I mean, he's just not very smart as a boy. Yeah. I guess he gets smarter as a man. He probably should know that that's like a firefighting team or something.
Totally.
Anyway.
Oh, man, I'm up it.
And then, for some reason, they didn't bother to introduce Superboy to Jacques before the mission, so they, like, shake hands in this really awkward way. And anyway, they're all babbling, and Cosmic Boy steps up and is like, okay, hey, officers, is there a description of the attacker or anything? Is there something we should actually be doing
tell
here?
Me what I need
So we got a whole page of dialogue, and then Cosmic Boy's like, you should probably tell me. Do you know who was the voice of Cosmic Boy in the Legion of Superheroes cartoon?
Who?
Do you know?
I don't know. Tell me.
Well, I'll give you a hint. He likes to play board games. He struggled with depression at one point in his life.
Okay.
He had a leech on his balls before.
Okay, Will Smith. I mean, not Will Smith.
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
Wheaton! Yeah. Okay.
Wesley Crusher.
Yeah, so anyway, I always thought that was cool. But anyway, I like it when Will Wheaton gets to voice comic book characters because he's awesome. And he should just do voice work all the time. He doesn't need to though, so he didn't have to.
But he could, and he should, anyway, because it'd be fun.
We meet we meet some guy named Antonio Stefanacci.
Oh, hey. That's not Doctor Strange.
Not at all. No, it's not future Doctor Strange at all. He's got a cloak. It's a different color. His robes are a slightly different color. He has this eye sort of looking thing on his chest, which is a different sort of eye thing.
And a magic wand?
But he has a magic wand.
And his hair looks like very strange.
His hair looks like Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, okay.
Right. In the 90s. Yeah. You know, well, he was ahead of his time. I guess Doctor Strange and him only had hair like this. Remember in the 90s, all the old characters get that hair? Right? Like Mr. Fantastic has that hair. Hal has that hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a while. It's weird. Well, anyway, this guy with a cape
shows
looks very Servant of Darkness-y in.
Yeah.
And he starts babbling about darkness and servants
dark servants
opposing him. You'll suffer an eternity of pain. He kind of looks, I don't know, what do you think the servant looks like? Does he remind you of anyone?
He looks like he looks like a guy we've seen before, but I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah. Oh, well, Wildfire and Superboy decide to do the old high-low, a move I've never seen them do before, but okay, they try it. And Superboy gets smacked by the servant, and the servant says, "But do not seek to challenge me, least of you, Kryptonian." Oh, and then Cosmic Boy is like kind of freaking out because he hit him, and then the servant yells "Dolt" and freezes Cosmic Boy.
Oh, man.
With frozen cold breath.
Freeze cold breath. He's been eating those Tic Tacs.
Yeah, maybe he just has bad breath from being on the barren planet. Like it wasn't really good restaurants there.
Yeah, that could be.
It's possible. Well, Phantom Girl is standing in front of him. And she's like, "It's fine, I'm a phantom." And then she goes through him.
Oh, snap.
And she's like, "It's really cold in there." So it affects her in phantom form.
Oh, that's not good.
And then Wildfire decides, well, he'll start blasting him because that's what Wildfire does. No strategy.
Makes sense. Pow, pow, pow.
And then there's Stefani Strange. I mean, Steph Strange. Strange Fani.
Strange Fani.
Yeah, and he's being guarded by Invisible Kid, who's really going to stand up to this rather super-looking servant.
Super servant.
I mean, he does look rather super, doesn't he?
He does. He looks like he looks pretty super. And Invisible Kid's gonna like invisibilize him.
Yeah, well, he doesn't do a very good job. But Stefani sucks. He's the worst Doctor Strange ever. He definitely doesn't get to become the master of the mystic arts of the planet because he drops the wand. Damn. And Super Servant takes it away.
Super
Servant. And goes back through looks like maybe a teleportation tube of some point.
Oh man.
Of some point. Tube? You might it says Plank.
Plink.
So if it was the tubes, I was thinking of it might say boom,
but it's not.
But it says Plank.
Oh,
yeah,
it's like
I'm not sure.
Like a Plinko machine, like a Plinko game.
Oh, so, yeah, that would require me to take another sip too, I think.
Why?
Well, the reason we're taking a sip is because on the next page, we get a tour bus passing the Legion of Superheroes headquarters, run by Ollie-3 Queen Tours.
Oh, nice.
So it looks like future descendants of Oliver Queen end up being tour guides in futuristic metropolis.
Oh, nice. I mean, it makes sense. You got to make money, keep that money flowing somehow.
Would you believe that character right there is going to show up like a year and a half later and be a major part of a story?
Tour guide?
Yes.
I believe it.
These guys were so good with like Levitz and Giffen too, obviously co-plotting this, but Levitz has this amazing like ability just to drop stuff in the stories, and then they show up again. One of the really cool things, you're reading this for the first time, one of the really cool things for me, though, is when you have read them all and then you go back and read them. I knew this was here, but you get... One of the reasons I read these over and over and over again as a kid, because you can keep reading them because you keep finding Easter eggs like this all over the place.
Makes sense.
And it's really cool to see, and this is why I like the X-Men as well. I mean, let's go back to X-Men, right? Like, they wrote the books so long, right? Claremont wrote the books so long. Levitz got to write the book for quite a while. And Wolfman on Titans, too, until he just completely burned out after Crisis on Infinite Earths. But you would get these plots going, and they would refer back to things. And you go back and read again, you're like, oh, that's where that happens.
How could I miss this? Yeah. There's some really good stuff.
Well, Block is showing up for his favorite part of the day, mission monitor board duty.
Hey, it's a good job. Pays well.
And he sees that, and Brainiac 5's like, thank God I'm out of here. This is like I feel like this is my work experience right now. Like, they have me doing a bunch of administrative work. I feel like when you take an amazing brain like mine or Brainiac 5's and you lock us down on like monitor duty. But do you think maybe poor Brainiac 5 got locked down on monitor duty maybe for almost destroying the entire headquarters and killing a little girl?
I think when you do bad things, you get bad jobs. And that's probably why they put people that do bad things on bad jobs, Dan.
Yeah, well, it's probably true. So...
I'm just joking. Then that would mean I'd do bad things too, because I got bad jobs on these too.
Well, Block gives us some exposition. He says, it is a shame about Matter Eater Lad's dysfunction. Yeah. But I fear, while his madness may be ending, Chameleon Boy's troubles are beginning. The others barely speak of him any longer, and he's looking at the Chameleon Boy little icon on the monitor board, which you've just learned about because you got to see all the icons. I did,
and I liked it. I thought it was cool because I was like, I got the reference, I got the joke.
Well, anyway, then we flip the page, and Chameleon Boy and Timberwolf are yelling at each other.
No. Again?
And then Timberwolf runs into Saturn Girl as he's storming away, and he just looks at her all concerned, like he did something wrong. I'm still like, I don't know. In that issue, like, I always go back and forth. Like, were they trying to say that they went back in the corner and had sex and then came back? I don't think they were.
No,
right?
I think what they were trying to say is that they thought that they were consoling each other in their last what they thought were their last moments, and we're sharing that like closeness, you know.
And now Timberwolf kind of has a crush because his girlfriend is breaking up with him, and yeah, like and you know, it's almost like Timber Wolverine has a crush on the telepath.
Oh, what? Never seen that before.
Has that happened before in comics?
Nah.
And actually, rewatching the X-Men cartoon we brought up, that is so annoying in the cartoon. Like, it's gross. It did not age well in the cartoon at all. Because he comes
off like a creep in the cartoon, in the old cartoon.
Yeah, it's just
not the comments and stuff like that. It's like
he's Stalker V. Yeah. You know, like it's like, or Wolva stalking. I don't know. Like,
I mean, come on, nobody can be Gambit, but not everybody can be Gambit.
Well, I've not watched the new one, but I have seen the pictures of Gambit, and boy, crop tops are coming back.
You know,
but they've left the Legion here because now the Legion's all dressed up.
That's true. They are. They look.
It only took
nice.
It only took 40 years to get the crop top back.
Yeah.
Giffen took it away. And then they gave it back. Well, a Cosmic Boy is leading this mission, it looks like.
It does.
And they're in London, and he says, time change, places change, Superboy. At least most of them do, though not the place we're heading for. And they end up at, looks like the Tower of London. Yeah. And they go looking for Excalibur, which apparently is stored in the Tower of London.
Guess so.
Did you see Excalibur when you went in the Tower of London? I don't remember the Excalibur exhibit.
I did. I've never been to the Tower of London, but I've been to Excalibur before when I've been in Vegas. And
that's slightly different.
I thought it was really cool.
Well, a whole bunch of course you did. You probably liked going to that restaurant where the waiters all yell at you.
I didn't go there, but I also went across the street to New York, where you could ride a roller coaster, and that was super fun too.
Well, we get some interesting folks in the background here. It looks like we get some Omega Men, Hawkman, as a blob kind of thing. An iStock guy.
Yeah, iStock guy.
iStock guy shows up a lot. There are iStock guys. In fact, in one of the issues, way later, way after their run, we find out the planet that iStock guy comes from. They actually have an iStock guy planet. But we've got all sorts of things going on. We've got the Legionnaires are being mobbed because they showed up randomly by the Tower of London in a tourist spot. What could possibly go wrong? Some kid wants the scent trace of Invisible Kid, which he looks really uncomfortable about. And
I want the scent trace for my collection. That sounds creepy.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, they try to get into the Tower of London, and Cosmic Boy goes flying backwards. Yeah. Cosmic Boy goes flying backwards.
Okay.
Well, you're still on the scent trace. Sorry.
Delicious. I want your scent trace.
Well, anyway, all right. Wow. I don't have a button to hit to make you stop. So those are at your house.
I know. I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, Cosmic Boy tries to go in. He goes flying backwards. Wildfire, of course, gets mad because that's what he does.
If only they had a scent trace.
If Wildfire was a 1980s actor, who would you think Wildfire would be? A famous 80s TV actor or movie actor?
Hold on a second. 80s. I would say if it was the 80s, you could probably put a young Hasselhoff off of Knight Rider.
Hasselhoff? Yeah. Hasselhoff. You see, Hasselhoff goes in screaming at everything? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, do you have Hasselhoff right off of Knight Rider? I mean, think about it.
Yeah. So, the Hass. Okay. Well, the Hass goes in.
No,
yelling,
you don't think that's
because I'm gonna. Cause I don't see David Hasselhoff saying because I'm gonna fry you.
You don't. Okay. So who do you think?
You know what? We're rolling.
Who do you cast?
We're casting him as Hasselhoff. No. That's fine.
Action star 80s. I mean, are you talking TVs or movies?
It could be anything.
But who do you cast?
I'm not casting him. We cast him as Hasselhoff. I gave you first choice. He's now Hasselhoff. Yeah, he's kicking back. In his car, and the car is just driving forward.
Well, I mean, it could be. You could go and write off a $6 million man and the Fall Guy and have yourself a little.
Oh, you want Lee Majors? Because actually, you know what's hilarious? I was actually thinking Lee Majors.
I was trying to go younger because he's supposed to be younger, and Hasselhoff would have been the right age.
You don't know that he's younger though. He's Wildfire. He doesn't. He's a ball of anti-energy. He could be older.
He could be Lee Majors.
Don't know. Yeah, he might jump from a falling building, and he might roll a brand new car.
It's true.
But he's gonna fry you.
He's gonna fry you
to make Eastwood such a star.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So, not that I know the song. So, it's and here we go. We've got. Well, Phantom Girl is dodging, and Superboy thinks he's gonna save everybody, including iStock Guy, who looks really annoying.
Oh man, yeah.
Annoyed, or scared, or something. He doesn't really have good facial expression. More a body movement and eye movement. Does he have an extra floating
It
eye?
looks like he separated his...
Or is that another eye stock guy?
It could have been another eye stock guy who lost his body.
Ooh, that's not good.
Know. Yeah.
Well, Invisible Kid's like, well, let me try out my new powers. I'll go figure out what's happening. And he walks inside and he sees a little servant with a big head with an energy ball on the top of his head.
Oh, boy.
And there's a sword there. And I'll say this. Yeah. So he grabs the sword. He grabs Excalibur, which is cool. And then the servant grabs the sword and runs away.
Not cool.
After Wildfire hits him. But, so this one, I feel like the first servant seems pretty obvious who it was to me. How about this one?
I don't know. There's no, I don't know who the servant is. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Let's see. Does he use any, well, he does use some distinguishing power. So it's like a red-ish kind of energy power, I guess. But, well, let's see. And he doesn't give us any hints, right? The last guy basically says, I'm appalled if a Kryptonian touches me. And he's super. And he had freeze breath. Yeah, that, I don't know. Well, anyway, we don't know much about the servants, but I'm just kind of looking back on this. I definitely, reading this a couple times, never figured out which servant this was, but that's okay.
Me neither. I don't know.
They might straight up tell you later. So, and eventually, like later on, your internet might even work too. So it'll be fantastic. We'll find out. And the Jacques looks at Wildfire and he's like, shall we tell them about the space warp? And he's like, Jacques, shut up. I can't do a Lee Major. I don't even know what a Lee Major's voice sounds like. I was just singing the song, right? So I should know. You might jump from a fallen building. You might roll a brand new car.
Yeah.
Shut up, Jocks. There we go.
Shut up,
Jocks. Yeah, it's kind of a little twang. Or was he just going for the country sound? I don't remember him having a big twang.
No, just little country sound.
Well, anyway, we are back and we've got, oh, hey, somebody's going to need some credit vouchers filled out.
Oh, yeah.
And we get back to the storyline. Apparently fighting all those things in the headquarters did not help with Wildfire's little electrical dysfunction of his brain. And he's looking for Imra, and she's not there, and his sister is there. And they go look for him. But, yeah, poor Dr. Gimel wants his credit voucher sound. Okay, so we're continuing that storyline.
Yeah.
And to make it awesome, Imra's out talking to Timberwolf still. And they're just kind of sharing what's happened. And Imra says, a Saturn girl says, I know what happened out there. You know what happened, but Garth and Ayla were far away, scared for us. They don't know. And no matter what we did or why, I don't know if I can ever erase their doubts and fears, or ours.
Yeah.
So it seems more extreme than we saw it on the page, but...
It seems more extreme, but I don't think it really... I think it was more... Like I said, I think it's more just that, like, the idea of them doing more is the seed that was planted in those who weren't there's heads, and that's what is growing, even though that's not what happened.
Yeah.
So they're going to see it however they want to see it.
Well, and the Legionnaires are seeing it that way too, because it's interesting. Because Element Lad quips that Timberwolf rubs him about running for leader, and Element Lad quips back to Timberwolf, but at least I'm trying to get something Lightning Lad gave up voluntarily, so implying that he's trying to still hit on Saturn Girl, which it doesn't seem like that's happening. It's almost weird, right? It's the 80s still, and I said this is still thing. It's like that whole Protestant idea of like lusting in your mind kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a comic book with the comic book's code authority, so you sort of, maybe they had to write it that way. I don't know. It's just still weird. I mean, it's like, it's one of those weird situations where that single issue was really awesome.
Yeah.
But that's a plot thread I don't want to continue.
Right. It's
because it has nowhere to go.
Because it's kind of like a hard sell. It's almost like it's a very adult themed.
As we've shifted to.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like,
it's not written well.
Yeah. It's like,
I mean, I compliment this book all the time. I just think that subplot's not great.
Does it? I guess the question is, how does it drive the story for these characters, and how does it play out? How do we see it play out? And
it just plays out awkward.
And I mean, and that's what we'll have to discuss as we start as it plays out, you know. And if it doesn't, they don't do it a service, then was it worthwhile?
Well, we turn the page away from that mess, and we get to far across the emptiness of space, a forgotten world hurtles through the void, burned out, barren, and dark as the unyielding night. He waits here, gathering his power for the moment his triumph return. He schemes, he plots, and he builds his nightmares. His will be an era of darkness, and soon it will begin. And we said, and I have returned, Master, with the sword Excalibur. And the Master, who, I don't know what he looks like there.
I don't know.
Looks like a combination of like 18 villains.
Yeah.
He's obscured, right? You have done well, my little mockeries. Misshapen as you are, you shall yet prove perfect servants. And in that lies the greatest irony of all. You do not comprehend, and that too is how I wish it to be. When I am done, everything that lives shall live only if it is as I wish it to be. Back, my servants, for I would not have you destroyed, now not yet, but even the darkness must feed. It's going to continue to grow, and we get a more defined face, sort of laughing a lot, cackling. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there we go. So we've got another hint at we got a bunch of servants, a dark, burned out world, and a face. Well, now we're back at the Tower of London, and everybody's trying to figure out what happened, and they're all blaming each other for what happened. And again, Cosmic Boy is the only one to be reasonable, and he's like, no point of arguing about whose fault or failure was. I suggest we return to Legion headquarters for reinforcements to determine where those so-called servants might strike next. I think we didn't get a lot from Cosmic Boy leading up to this. And remember how, like, he seems to take each issue and build one of the characters a little bit each time?
This is it.
And, yeah, well, I think Cosmic Boy was one of the 3 founding members of the Legion. Levitz will play on this theme with Lightning Lad, Cosmic Boy, and Saturn Girl much more later.
Yeah.
But I think he's sort of reestablishing Cosmic Boy as that founder of the Legion, right? The level-headed, well, all the kids around him are arguing. You know, Dad's like, yeah, you know, you all can argue, but we have work to do and go back. Or maybe a big brother, I guess, older brother.
Oh, yeah. He's kind of, he's a little level-headed and maybe, like, thinks things through and doesn't jump to that super, like, do this, do that. Like, let's ask the right questions before we jump to the conclusion that this is what it is, or let's think about it a little more. Yeah.
And it's interesting too because we haven't seen him really use his powers, right? He's got magnetic powers, right? He's on Earth. He should be as powerful as Magneto.
Yeah.
And unless the magnetic poles have changed substantially, right, in 1,000 years, which is possible, polarity, I should say, but like the poles may shift north to south too, right, in that amount of time.
I mean, when it comes to polling changes all the time. I mean, people have different feelings about things, so you're always. I mean, it's really like polls just don't. I mean, you got option A, B, C, D, E, or 3, and usually people always go with 3.
Mm-hmm.
No? Option 3.
That's on tests, not polls. But yeah, you're there.
Okay, sorry. Oh, you're talking about magnets. I don't know how they work, man.
Yeah, and they're miracles like the tides.
Totally, exactly, just like that.
Yeah, it's
You're like, why, Greg? Why?
Miracles. Yeah. I just don't want to bring them up ever on the podcast. I mean, once you disclose to me their true motives, like I thought they were genuinely like just making fun of stuff. Then you disclose to me that this group I will not name is like really peddling like right-wing dribble. And anyway, okay.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah. Well, go drink some Faygo and we'll get back to this. So, we're at Talok 8, a dark and lonely world on the far edge of the United Planets territory. Hey. Rarely visited and frequently traded with, generally insulated from much of the galaxy troubles. Didn't we just go there? Wasn't that Orlando?
Yeah. I was just gonna say. I feel like we were just there, but okay.
Well, anyway, apparently
but we're back
apparently
there.
The Fatal Five attacked it once.
Yeah.
And I remember that. But originally, if it was introduced back in Adventure Comics 365 and 366, which was a long time ago.
We go back when we go back.
Well, anyway, it's also the home of Shadowlass.
Ah, that would, yeah.
So we get the team we had before, but we've added Shadowlass to the team. So we've got Jacques, Superboy, Wildfire, Phantom Girl, Cosmic Boy, and Shadowlass.
Bringing our friends home.
Yeah. And they're going to like some old dusty tomes, maybe some magic scrolls.
Oh, cool.
I don't know.
Magic scrolls.
Yeah. And they're going to guard them, and all of a sudden everything goes dark.
Oh, no.
And Shadowlass didn't do it, so who's making everything dark?
Oh, no.
Well, now we get another one of those servants. And the servant says, as Wildfire tries to light the room, the servant says, "Your energy may brighten the room, but it cannot harm me. Look upon me. Then, if you are so desperate to see your doom, look upon me, who may be the least of my master's servants."
Oh.
Doesn't think much of themselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But who is surely the master of such as you? And apparently she's trying to grab an orb. And this time, Cosmic Boy steps in. He's like, "Too bad, lady." And I use the word loosely. My magnetism will keep it far from your grimy touch.
Grimy touch.
Yeah, grimy touch. I don't know that she's dirty. She's just, different. I mean, that's kind of rude, Cos.
Oh, she kind of has there's a familiarity with that face. Maybe.
Yeah, there sort of is. Yeah, well, anyway, she zaps Superboy. And Superboy blows the servant back, and then Phantom Girl ends up with the orb, and they're blasting the old Servant of Darkness. And then another one boosts through, riding what looks like... now, the servant doesn't look very familiar, but what he's riding
looks
really...
What's it look like to you? It's a weird air scooter.
Yeah, it sort of looks very Kirby-like.
Kirby-like thing, huh?
Yeah.
A Kirby-like thing.
A Kirby, like a vacuum.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, like a vacuum. Like a thing. It's interesting that the what he just like shot through the portal looks like a mouth.
Yeah, it kind of does.
It's kind of cool.
It says ploink and whoosh. Whoosh. Mostly I have a drink with me today because I think I have to drink every time we see ploink or whoosh or fwoosh in the book.
Ploink, whoosh, floosh. Aye, blathoom.
So that was like 5 sips on
Crunch.
The page. Like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sips. There's a lot of noises.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he grabs the thing for the master, and then here comes the other servant saying, "I'm going to run away."
Run away.
I don't know why you're playing that, but anyway, Invisible Kid blocks it from going through the portal.
Master.
and they capture one of the servants.
Snap.
So there you go. So they have a servant. So maybe they'll figure out what happens. Well, the important thing is, we get to later after they're later, and the Legionnaires are having a meeting, as they do.
Will the servant serve them while they're having their meeting because they have a servant?
Well,
now?
I don't know, but it is important in every Legion book that we have a meeting.
Yes, they have to have a meeting because
they have to have a meeting
for taxes.
Well, it does show that they're very thoughtful and they get around and they plan.
Yeah,
Captain Picard had lots of meetings.
True.
Nobody insulted his meetings.
Flute.
That's the saddest freaking thing ever, right? Like of all the things you would bring up, right? Why would you bring up the saddest thing about that series ever, right? Like now I'm gonna have to go watch that episode and just be sad for 3 hours. God. Wow. So anyway, they get together and they are Element Lad's talking about quorums and stuff. He's now an expert in Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm going to run for Legion leader.
Yeah.
Because I was a deputy leader 3 times in a row.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Which, yeah, I guess. And now he's leader temporarily, right? He's technically in charge. And he notes that, as all of you know, which is not many of you that are reading this in 1882, my home planet was destroyed by Roxas years ago, and I made the Legion my home, and I want to give it my all. And the Legionnaires are like, that's sweet, Element Lad, but if the table's open for other nominations, Dream Girl, I'm running too.
Whoa! Shocker.
Montel's like, Dream Girl? And Timberwolf's like, somebody's got to be kidding me. Even Block says, and then Ultra Boy stands up and poses like, I'm running for leader too. Do you think Ultra Boy knows what a leader is?
I don't know, but he wants to be the first 3-time leader.
Well, he did just get back, right? Remember they recapped. He got back. He was in the Reflecto saga.
Yeah.
But they couldn't tell us what happened, right? Because they said nobody wants to talk about that. Yeah, but he's back. Remember they were putting stuff back. So he just got back. They were just putting stuff back in his headquarters, I don't know if that's the best choice for Legion leader right now.
Yeah, I mean...
Ultra Boy has been the Legion leader before.
Yeah.
In fact, as you can see, he'd like to become the Legion's first 3-time leader.
3 times.
I'm sure things went really well for them when he was leader in the past.
The past 2 times?
I'm sure nothing went wrong.
No, he's a perfect choice.
Superboy shows up with the Servant of Darkness, and he's like, one slightly damaged Servant of Darkness here. And everybody's yelling, and Satterger gets really mad. Be quiet, all of you. No wonder Garth resigned. That's Lightning Lad. Isn't the important thing figure out what these Servants of Darkness are and who their master is? And then that's where the founders kind of take control too. And then Cosmic Boy chimes back in. I agree, Saturn Girl, especially having met 4 of them now. Each one is as powerful as the mightiest of us, and I have a feeling their master is in class all his own. So it's almost like the 2 founders pull everybody back from the Legion election and all the bickering, and they're like, hey, we've got to solve some problems. And this is it's Giffen and Levitz and Giffen setting those 2 off as part of that group.
Yeah.
Well, and then guess who it is? Your favorite character.
President Mom?
President Mom is back.
Mommy!
Where is Colossal Boy?
He's stuck in a spaceship with Shrinking Violet. They're on a trip.
Yeah. They're on a trip somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Bomb, chicka, bomb, bomb. Yeah. Yeah. That's because it is the adult Legion. This is Legion XXX.
Whoa!
Or if it was an X-Men comic, it would be Extreme Legion.
Extreme Legion.
God, that Extreme X-Men book was so bad.
He gets big in all the right places. She gets small in all the right places. Whoa, 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 whoa,
whoa, whoa. That's gross. What did you just do?
Delete that, please.
Well, anyway, President Mom's like, tomorrow, Chameleon Boy's on trial for treason. I assume you want to attend. Good news. In the 30th century,
Yes.
you do have a right to a speedy trial.
Oh, cool.
After you invade the capital.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah, so
they can have it in 10 minutes or less.
Yeah, there's like, well,
your
2
trials
issues.
for free.
So, yeah, well, anyway, they're taking the servant back to the Medilab, and we get a view of Danielle when the servant, Danielle Filkar,
Computo.
Yeah. When the servant goes by, and all of a sudden, Computo starts going and buzzing crazy, like there's some sort of brain activity. Computo's freaking out and having a nightmare, they say, because the servant is there.
Oh, no. This is bad news, Bears.
Yeah, well, good news, Computo does not wake up in this issue. But we get back, the orb comes to the servant, or to the master, and the master looks at the servant flying the Kirby vacuum-like contraption.
Yes.
And looks at the servant and says, "My son." Back now, you broken imitation of what once strode the stars like a giant. It is my time now. The power shall be mine. Dun, 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 dun. And then we get one more page. I am fulfilled, at least for now. My time has come, my little mockeries. Man, he does not like his servants. Do you not feel it? The destiny which has escaped me for so long is to be met. Darkness shall cover the universe, reduce all within to my slaves, and you, my son, shall ever be the first among them. Are you not humbled by the prospect? And his son, the mockery son, says, I beg you, master, I am not worthy. He says, of course you're not, foul one. That is why it is all too sublime. Come, I have had enough of this place. There's no more power to be taken from mere objects, no matter how potent. We go take it from those who live. And he's like, yes, master. And we get a Krathum.
Sip.
Yep. The Forgotten World is still now, save for a chill wind, crying of the lost souls and begging that someone remember who their master is before it is too late. And the next issue, we get a sign of darkness dawning.
Ooh, chills. This is a very good build up to things to come. And I like how you're getting teased by these images on the panels, like the who
have you read The Thing to Come yet?
No.
Oh, you didn't keep reading. You're still only reading one issue at a time. Because I read all the way to like issue like 296. Because maybe I got a little bit excited.
I'll read tomorrow or tonight.
Well,
because if I read read ahead, what'll happen is I'll start talking about it during the episode, and I don't want to do that.
No, I think it's fun. I think it's fun to have you read it for the first time. Like how shocked you were with the last.
I was so mad.
Issue.
Oh, so mad.
You were mad that no one died, right?
It's not that I wanted somebody to die. I was just like I felt like it was just it was just bringing us to the edge of that. This is what's going to happen. And it's like, no, I don't want somebody to die, but it feels like it's going to happen, and I don't like it.
Well, maybe they used Computo, one of the most powerful villains in the Legion's history, to build you up to an even more powerful villain in the next story.
Cobra Commander?
Yeah.
That was so bad.
I think this is Cobra Commander went to sleep for... Oh, God, it's Serpentor.
Serpentor.
Well, anyway, we do have some important things to share from the Legion Outpost post, the letter column. And we want to read a letter from David Bellamy of 485 Kingswood Road, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, M4E 3P4. Do you think if we sent David a letter, he would still be at his address?
I don't think so.
Well, he says, "Dear editor, my vote for the next Legion leader goes to Dream Girl. My reasons for choosing her are many. Number 1, she's qualified for the job. We all know that she's got smarts from the all too few issues she has appeared in, which leads to reason number 2. Wow. We hardly ever see her and our Starboy in action. Perhaps by being Legion leader, we'll see them more often.
Okay.
Number 3, she'll be the only female Legionnaire after Saturn Girl to hold the post. Number 4, she's different. She'll give the Legion a change of pace. In the past, the Legion's leader was usually a member who was all too often regarded as a definitive Legionnaire. Examples are 3 charter members, Brainiac 5, and Mon-El. Dream Girl is hardly what you'd call a definitive Legionnaire since we hardly ever see her.
Yeah.
But what we have seen of her indicates that the Legion will never be the same after she's elected leader. May we see more of her prescient power soon." This was very much the readers trolling the creative team. Every couple years they'd have a Legion election, and they write back. Paul Levitz writes back, "Your dream has come true, David. When we closed the tally on our election, Dream Girl was the new leader, with runner-up Element Lad re-elected as deputy leader for the 4th time."
Oh my.
Here are the votes, and this will be fun. And by the way, the readers would do this sometimes. They would select somebody that they saw to mess with the Legion leader, the Legion writers. Very much later on, they held an election when Paul Levitz and Keith Giffen were back on the book again in the 2010s for a short run. And there's a character called Comic Queen who talks like a Valley Girl.
Huh?
And Paul Levitz had her temporarily leave the Legion while they were doing the election.
So that they didn't, so nobody could vote for her. That makes sense.
Yes.
Sorry.
So Block got 23 votes.
Hell yeah.
So 23 people wanted Block as the Legion leader.
I would have voted for Block.
Brainiac 5 got 41, Chameleon Boy 36, Colossal Boy 15. You know, you think with President Mom there, he might get some more votes.
That's true.
But Cosmic Boy 19, Dawnstar 15, Dream Girl 109.
Dang! That's a lot.
Element Lad 88, Karate Kid, who's not even a member right now, 56. Lightning Lad 28. They did not want Lightning Lad back. Do you see Roy Thomas's run killed Lightning Lad as leader?
Yeah.
Like that was no good. Light Lass 8, Mon-El 52. Nobody wants Light Lass either. The Rands twins that's a no-go for those two.
Yeah.
Did you know Light Lass was Lightning Lad's twin, or did you just know she was his sister?
I didn't know they were twins. I knew
they're twins.
I knew they were siblings. I didn't know they were twins.
Mon-El got 52, Phantom Girl 28, Princess Projectra 26, who is also not currently a member, Saturn Girl 26, Shadow Lass 14, Shrinking Violet 16, Starboy only got 17 votes. The best Legionnaire only got 17 votes. It's ridiculous. Sunboy 20. I would always get mad when I would see Starboy's vote totals. Sunboy got 20. Timberwolf got 37. 37 people thought Timberwolf would be. Are they just trolling?
Yeah.
Again, are they trolling the writers? They're like
totally.
Dirt. You know what would be the best would be like a Block as leader with Timberwolf as deputy leader combination.
Yeah, that would be so good. They're buddies.
That would be amazing. Ultra Boy just behind Element Lad with 83 votes. Yeah. And Wildfire, a former leader himself, with 27 votes. Imagine a Wildfire-led Legion, too. That would be... they'd be jumping off a lot of fallen buildings.
I'm surprised nobody wanted Invisible Kid.
Well, he missed the voting. He was brand new.
I don't care.
He just came last issue. Yeah. Well, he wasn't like they voted before.
I don't care.
Well, there were 784 people wrote in. Well, they would have had to write in after the election was over. I guess you're not understanding.
Oh, I understand. Write in.
That's 784 votes, which doesn't include a handful of obvious attempts to stuff the ballot box, all voting for Dream Girl, I'm sure. Frankly, we were shocked by the results. having expected to be a dead heat between Ultra Boy and Element Lad, but we bowed to the will of the majority. Besides, it will be interesting to see what happens. Paul Levitz.
I see. So, Dream Girl.
Yeah, is the new Legion
That
leader.
makes sense.
I mean, it's good because, every time that she sees the future, it always comes true. So I'm very curious what next issue, like if she sees the future, what's going to happen. Yeah. Well, we get next month, the Saga of the Great Darkness begins. More mystery is added with some old enemies of the Legion. The White Witch returns. You're like, who's the White Witch? You'll find out. And, well, do you remember I had somebody who's a mutual acquaintance of ours who I used to run her website, paint me the White Witch in her own. Yeah. Maybe I'll go downstairs to boxes and pull that out because I still haven't hung anything in my house for the entire year and a half I've lived here. So
you say that as I look behind you and there's stuff hung in your house.
Okay, there's a couple things, but for the most part, all my stuff's down in the garage, which
liar.
is not good. Well, I have to have that Ramona Fredon Starboy hung up because
I understand.
That's and you were there when I got the Bob Hall art that's behind me what Greg's referring to is I have a Starboy of the Silver Age by Ramona Fredon. I also have a Karate Kid in Projectra, which we should have mentioned in the episode where we covered them, right here, drawn by Bob Hall of all people. So I had Bob Hall draw DC characters, which I think is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll just draw anything, just give me a picture. And he was so awesome. And then I've got a good dude. I've got the splash page from Legion of Superheroes number 2, volume 3, back there. Anyway, I got some production art back there, so it's cool. Anyway, not production art. It's a color page, right? It's not production art. Production art's that weird.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? And we've got next month, I said, we get to find out about Lightning Lad's personal crisis and stuff. And
it's going to be crazy.
And we were even getting, because the Legion was so popular, they put them in the digest, Adventure Comics 491's reprinting old Legion tales.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's going to end, I think, at 500 or 503. I think it ends at 503. But you even get, so the Legion's so popular, they get a digest format back issue book and this book here. I mean, what happened? It's almost like DC could, capitalize on a property they used to make a lot of money of.
Yeah.
But instead, we have to have 17,000 Batman books.
Batman's popular, man. And they got to keep rebooting it to keep it alive.
Batman and the Batman, Batman and the Batman and the Batman, Batman and Robin and Batman, Batman and Gotham Knights Batman, Gotham City Batman, Gotham Knights Batman, Detective Comics and Batman, Batman the Chivalry, Batman Ancient Batman, Batman and the Knights of the Round Table, Batman.
You're missing one.
Yeah.
Batman Bold and the Beautiful. Now,
now there is a really good book out there right now that Mark Waid's writing. It's World's Finest. Though I refuse to name it by its actual title, which DC called it, of course, instead of calling it World's Finest, right, which is the original book, the Batman Superman team-up book from the Golden Age, right? Mm-hmm. DC has the nerve to call it Batman Superman World's Finest. Like, that's how shilly they are for fucking Batman. It's just like, Batman has to be in everything.
Batman Superman. It's World's Finest.
As far as Batman did show up here, we had Ollie Queen, but we didn't have a future Batman. So
that they didn't think about it. They're like, man, we got Superboy, Ollie Queen. Could we sneak a Batman in there? That'd be cool if we did.
I mean, there's a Hawkman too.
I know. There's a Hawkman in there. Boy, oh boy, they just weren't thinking about it. They just didn't. Could have got them shekels.
Yeah. I wonder how he managed to slide a Hawkman. Giffen's always sliding in characters too. Like, there's a bunch of like anime characters from like the 70s that you're going to have to start picking out of there because
they slide them in.
I think, if you go back to page 9, I think like one of those looks like one of them kind of looks like was he out yet? I keep saying Doug Locke. What was the character's name in New Mutants? The alien.
You said page 9.
Yeah. I don't know. Either that or he looks like a he just likes like a sea urchin. I don't know.
Oh, I know it's not New Mutants, but
No, I was talking about New Mutants, but yeah, it's well. Anyway,
yeah.
We don't have to spend a bunch of time here. We probably also like is that is that up there? There's like a random floating eye, and there's Ice Talk Eye. So is that like the Emerald Empress is hanging out there, right? Like with her eye of Ekron? I don't know. It's just weird.
You got two.
There's so many anyway.
Ice Talks. There's a.
I love it when he just does things like this because just random characters show up in the background.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the books, Astro Boy shows up in the background.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just like randomly. There's Astro Boy. And you're like,
That's
what?
Funny.
How did they get away with that? It's a good question. So, well, anyway, we should wrap this puppy up because I'm sure we've been on project-nerd.com now for like a few days, and I'm sure after this episode we'll be right back off of project-nerd.com.
Oh, so, don't say that. They're gonna be like, wow, this is fantastic content. We can't believe that we got this fantastic funny book forensics amazing show on our site.
Well, someday we'll be on this Press Play to Listen podcast that's on Project-Nerd with some guy named Iggy.
Oh, that guy, Iggy.
Yeah.
Project Nerd himself. He
has a whole like episode about Rex Manning.
Wow. I hear there's a whole entire day about Rex Manning.
Yeah, I mean, it's celebrated at the Retro Emporium on Meeker Street in Kent, Washington.
It's true, we do.
Where you can find your childhood.
You can, and it smells like Fruit Loops.
But not vanilla cupcakes, which you will smell if you buy a copy of Absolute Zero's Camp Launchpad. Look at that Segway boy. Do I get a name? Like Segway Lad or Segway Boy or Segway King?
I mean, you can call yourself whatever you want.
How about Segway King? I like Segway King.
Segway King.
That might sound villainy.
That's a villain name. Segway Lad. Segway Lad.
How about Segway Princess?
Whatever floats your boat. If that's what you want, Segway Princess it is.
I like it.
All right.
There we
go.
What's that? The My Little Pony with the rainbow butt?
Oh man, it's
You're like, I don't know.
It's Rainbow Dad. Like, yeah, Dash.
Rainbow Dash. I want to be Segway Dash.
Segway Dash. Okay.
Yes.
Segway Dash. There you go.
Segway Dash. Like, I've always thought it was weird that the ponies, like, how their powers come from, like, the...
Stamp on their butt?
Like, the oppressive... Yeah, but that would be, like, the brand, right?
No.
That's where the branding goes.
It's like... That's
where you would brand a horse.
Yeah, but they're ponies.
Yes, it is.
It is, but these are ponies.
It's terrible. They're oppressed.
No, these are ponies. They're
all oppressed.
They don't have a brand because this is where this is their beauty mark. They're free ponies.
It's not a beauty mark. They're all oppressed.
Dan, these are free ponies that live in the clouds, Dan. Have you never watched the show?
I have never watched the show.
They're not owned by anything. They're free.
I only know about Rainbow Dash because another mutual acquaintance of ours, daughter, who at the time was like 3, but is now like, in like high school, loved Rainbow Dash. So I got a big fill from Mrs. Moore on Rainbow Dash. And Mrs. Moore will never listen to the podcast, ever, ever. Like, you could not pay her to listen to this podcast. So
she'd be like,
there is that.
This podcast is terrible. Why do you make this thing, you silly people? Who listens to this? Yes,
she would be very... She would be very sad that this even exists. And you listeners may also be sad that they exist. But it's fine because coming up, in addition to Absolute Zero's Camp Launchpad, it smells like vanilla cupcakes. You buy the hardback. It also has cordyceps mushrooms. And on top of that, you will get an MXPX CD in every package. So that is good to know. And in addition, Starlight number 7 will be launching very soon. You can go on Kickstarter right now.
Save the date.
And you can save the date, and it's going to let you know. Now, eventually, I will get to read a copy of number 6 eventually. Probably 0 days before the rest of you get to read it. But the good news is if you didn't back issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, you can get the whole kit and caboodle by backing number 7. Yeah. I highly recommend this. Like, it is... look, Greg helped write this book. Full disclosure, I love this book. It's fantastic. It's great storytelling. And after issue 5, I want to punch Greg, Travis, and Brett all in the face.
And I've said it before. And I mean, when our letterer, Tom Orzowski, who has worked in comics for decades on decades. I mean, he's been lettering books longer than I've been running around this earth, I think. And he says that we've written something that he wants to continue to do with us because he's thoroughly enjoying it. That makes me go, okay, I guess we are doing something that is good. And then when
did he letter any books that were good?
That's
like Spawn
book and geez.
I heard Spawn kind of sucks. Like, it's been around for a long time, but...
yeah. Those Spawn books are horrible.
It's kind of like ElfQuest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those ElfQuest books. Don't tell if Travis finds out, he will flip out because ElfQuest is
like Travis listens to this podcast.
I know.
Well, anyway, the good news is you are listening to this podcast. Yeah. Travis does sometimes listen to this podcast, which astounds me.
Travis wants to be on the podcast.
We also found out we have a dedicated listener named John who likes our podcasts. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So and listens to them. I was shocked by this. Yeah. I'm pretty much shocked by anyone that listens to us. But the good news is we're here for you almost every week. Almost on time every week. We're a little bit behind.
When Dan can edit, then the podcast comes out weekly. If Greg's not sick.
Wow.
No. I was going to say when Greg's not sick, the podcast comes out. The podcast can be edited by Dan. So it's a thing that we provide that service for you when Greg isn't sick.
And when I say editing, I mean I slave over the editing of this podcast. I take out all the times we get off track, everything that just goes away. Like, it's all gone. Yeah. Like, this entire last 20 minutes, like, I'm going to edit out all of it, clearly. Like, yeah. So anyway, we should end the podcast just to say, I believe we got in all the plugs. I believe we got in all the fun. I guess, I mean, if there are any more, you could go, Jiu-Jitsu Lawyer is back from his competition in Las Vegas. You could go to Certified Jiu-Jitsu in Tacoma, I guess University Place, but / Tacoma, Washington on Bridgeport and 27th. And you could find out what it takes to go to big, giant tournaments in Las Vegas and do well.
Wrap people up in your swarthy arms and legs and hold them into submission.
I don't think that's quite what they do there, but...
Okay, I mean, that's what his videos look like every time.
I mean, I wouldn't phrase it that way. I mean, that sounds like weird gay porn, but it's not what... I've never seen anything like that. Anyway, so we are... now back to the podcast, of course, but yeah, it's you can learn how to choke out a person. It doesn't. Why did you assume it's men?
I didn't say it was men. I said anybody with their swarthy arms and their legs.
Anyone. Okay. I did not know. No, I did not assume that. No, I did not assume that. Well, anyway.
Wow, dude.
Wow.
I put no
clearly
gender on
that
it.
was you were insinuating. Anyway, so good news is that's it for today. There's a lot of things you could join us on, but most importantly, you can join us on project-nerd.com, your home for podcasts and things. And in fact, if you go to project-nerd.com this week. You too will get vanilla cupcakes sent to you in the mail.
Oh my gosh. I don't think that you will, but I mean...
I guarantee. It's a guarantee.
If you go there, I can guarantee you're going to get some fun, great content, fantastic memes, the meme team.
And vanilla cupcakes sent to you in the mail.
Ixnay on the upcakes, yay.
Okay, well, that's it. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Funny Book Forensics.
Yay!
We're back with Legion of Superheroes number 291 next week. Bye.
Oh, the button. Shoot. It's over here.